The greatest battle you'll ever fight isn't with the world, it's with the 5 enemies inside you that keep you from becoming who you're meant to be. You work hard, you want to grow, you keep telling yourself this is your year, but somehow you fall into the same patterns, stopping, starting, doubting, and wondering why real progress never lasts. It's not because you're lazy, it's not because you're weak, it's because there are hidden forces quietly working against you every single day. The 5 enemies of progress live inside all of us. They show up as fear, distraction, doubt, hesitation, and the endless need for comfort. They steal your focus, your energy, and your momentum, and you don't even notice until it's too late. In this audiobook, we're going to expose each one, understand how they control your behavior, and learn how to defeat them once and for all. Because once you silence these enemies, nothing can stop your growth, not even you. Stay till the end. It might just change everything. Chapter 1. Challenge the voice that tells you stop. You know, there comes a moment in every person's life when something inside whispers, stop. It's that small voice that says, you've done enough, you're not ready, or what if you fail? And if you listen to that voice long enough, it becomes the strongest enemy of your progress. Most people never move beyond that moment. They listen, they stop. And years later, they wonder why life feels the same as it did 10 years ago. The truth is, progress is not destroyed by failure, it's destroyed by hesitation. The quiet decision to pause, to wait, to hold back. The human mind has a way of protecting itself from pain, and sometimes that protection becomes a prison. When you feel uncertain, your mind tells you to slow down, to wait for clarity. But clarity doesn't come before movement, it comes because of movement. You see, that voice inside you isn't evil, it's just afraid. It's afraid of embarrassment, afraid of rejection, afraid of being seen trying and not succeeding. But if you want to grow, if you want to live a life that feels alive, you have to learn to challenge that voice every single day, because that voice will not go away. You just have to stop giving it power. Every time you start something new, whether it's a business, a goal, a relationship, there's a part of you that wants to retreat. You'll feel it in your chest, that pressure, that little anxiety that says, maybe tomorrow. It's the same for everyone. The difference between the people who move forward and the ones who stay stuck is simple. One listens to that voice, the other challenges it. When you challenge that voice, you don't do it with anger, you do it with understanding. You say, I hear you, but I'm moving anyway. That's courage. Courage doesn't mean you don't feel fear. It means you decide that fear doesn't get the final say. Now, think about how many opportunities people lose because they listened to that voice. The person who wanted to start their fitness journey but waited for motivation. The student who wanted to learn something new but feared looking foolish. The professional who wanted to take a step forward but didn't think they were ready. The truth is, no one ever feels ready. The first step always feels uncomfortable. That's what growth feels like. It's unfamiliar, uncertain, and sometimes even painful. But on the other side of that discomfort is freedom. You can train your mind to respond differently. The next time you hear that inner voice say, stop, take a breath and do the opposite. Make one small move forward. Because motion builds confidence. Confidence is not built by thinking, it's built by acting. You'll never think your way into progress. You have to live your way into it. There's something powerful about small wins. Each one tells your brain, I can do this. And every time you prove that voice wrong, it grows weaker. The problem is, too many people wait for motivation. They think they need to feel ready before they act. But motivation doesn't come before action. It's the result of it. The best way to create energy is to move, to take one small, brave step in the direction of your goals. The voice that tells you to stop is clever. It disguises itself as logic. It says, be realistic. It says, wait for the right time. But there is no perfect time. There's only now. The people who achieve extraordinary progress aren't always smarter or luckier. They just act faster. They move when others wait. Progress begins with a decision. Not a loud, dramatic decision, but a quiet, firm one. The kind you make when no one's watching. You say to yourself, no matter how I feel, I'm doing this. That kind of self-trust changes everything. When you keep promises to yourself, your confidence grows. When you break those promises, your belief in yourself weakens. Every time you give in to that inner voice, you teach yourself that it's okay to stop. But every time you move anyway, you teach yourself that you are stronger than your excuses. Now, progress doesn't require perfection. It requires consistency. You don't need to leap. You need to take steady steps. The person who keeps showing up, even on hard days, will always beat the person who only works when they feel like it. Discipline beats emotion. Action beats hesitation. That's human psychology in its simplest form. Your brain seeks comfort because it wants safety. But growth doesn't live in safety, it lives in challenge. When you understand that your feelings are not commands, you take back control. You can feel fear and still act. You can feel doubt and still continue. That's how resilience is built. You've probably had moments in life where you felt inspired for a while and then stopped. Maybe you joined the gym, started a project, or tried to change a habit. At first, it felt exciting. But then came the fatigue, the resistance, the voice whispering, "This isn't working." That's the moment that defines your growth, because that's when most people quit. But the truth is, that voice doesn't mean you're failing, it means you're changing. The brain resists change because it's unfamiliar. When you push through that moment, you teach your brain that discomfort is safe. If you could just hold steady through that resistance one more day, one more attempt, one more try, you'd realize that the hardest part of progress is not the work, it's the persistence. Anyone can start. Few continue. The person who continues, even when it's not exciting, wins every time. Think about people you admire, the ones who built something meaningful, the ones who changed their lives. Every one of them fought that same voice. The only difference is, they didn't give it power. They replaced the voice of doubt with a stronger one, the voice of purpose. When you have a purpose, when you know why you're doing what you're doing, it gives you strength to keep going. Purpose silences doubt. That's why I always say, if your why is strong, the how becomes easier. You can endure almost anything when you remember what you're working toward. Now, challenging that voice doesn't happen overnight. It's a daily practice. You train your mind the same way you train your body through repetition. Each morning, you decide that your future matters more than your fear. Each evening, you reflect and remind yourself how far you've come. That's progress. There's something deeply human about the struggle between comfort and growth. Every person on this planet feels it, but only a few choose growth, and those few live lives that others only dream about. They take risks, they fail, they learn, and they rise again. If you ever wonder why some people succeed while others don't, it's not luck, it's mindset. The winners challenge their hesitation, the rest obey it. Every breakthrough starts with a moment of resistance. You have to recognize that moment for what it is, not a stop sign, but a signal that you're growing. You can start today. Think about one area of your life where that inner voice keeps showing up. Maybe it's your health, your career, or your relationships. Listen to what that voice says. You're too tired. You're not good enough. It's too late. Then quietly respond, I'm doing it anyway. You'll be amazed at how much power that one sentence holds. Progress doesn't happen in giant leaps. It happens in quiet defiance. Every time you move forward when your mind says stop, you create momentum, and momentum builds belief. The first step might be small, but it changes everything. You are capable of more than you think. You have everything you need to change your story, but you must decide that the voice of fear doesn't get to run your life anymore. Fear will always whisper, but courage speaks louder. The most powerful people in the world aren't fearless, they're just unwilling to surrender to fear. They wake up with the same doubts, the same worries, but they move anyway. That's what separates a dreamer from a doer. You can start where you are, with what you have. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for clarity. Don't wait for motivation. Take one honest step forward. Because once you start, that voice begins to fade. It realizes you're not listening anymore. That's when something shifts inside you. You begin to trust yourself again. You begin to feel alive again. You start to see that progress isn't about speed, it's about direction. Each day you move forward, even a little, you rewrite your future. Challenge that voice today. The one that says you can't, the one that says you should wait, the one that says you're not enough. You are enough. You've always been enough. All you need is to move. Progress begins the moment you decide that your future deserves more effort than your fear. The moment you stop negotiating with that inner voice, your entire life begins to change. And that, my friend, is how you build momentum, purpose, and lasting growth. Because the greatest victory you'll ever achieve is not against the world, it's against the part of you that wanted to stop. And once you win that battle, every other challenge becomes possible. Chapter 2. Train your mind to love small wins. Most people dream big, but they never learn to value the small steps that make those dreams possible. They look for the big break, the huge success, the overnight change. But life doesn't reward those who wait for something massive to happen. It rewards those who train their mind to love progress in small pieces, one day, one habit, one effort at a time. The truth is, the mind naturally wants to chase extremes. It wants to win fast, to feel the thrill of accomplishment without the patience of building it. And when that big result doesn't show up right away, discouragement creeps in. That's where most people quit, not because they can't succeed, but because they never learned how to enjoy slow progress. If you can teach yourself to find pride in every small step forward, you become unstoppable. Because the person who celebrates small wins builds consistency, and consistency builds everything: discipline, momentum, confidence, and results. Think about how you learned anything important in life. You didn't start perfect. You learned one thing at a time. You practiced, you stumbled, and you grew. Progress has always come in small pieces, but somewhere along the way, we started believing that little steps don't matter. We started comparing our beginnings to someone else's highlight. We started losing patience with the process. Training your mind to love small wins begins with awareness. Every day, there are things you do that bring you closer to your goals. Waking up early, reading a few pages, saying no to distractions, saving a small amount of money, eating a healthy meal, all of it counts. But most people dismiss those moments because they don't feel big enough. That's the mistake. Small wins might not look like much today, but over time, they shape who you become. When you recognize small progress, you give your brain a reward. That's how motivation is built. The mind learns to associate effort with satisfaction, not exhaustion. And the more often you do that, the more your brain seeks progress naturally. You stop relying on motivation and start relying on momentum. Most people say they want to be motivated, but what they really need is evidence that they can make progress. Evidence builds belief. Belief creates consistency. And consistency turns ordinary people into exceptional ones. If you've ever felt stuck or unmotivated, It's probably because you've been waiting for something too big to happen. You've set the bar so high that nothing feels like success until you reach the top. But the top is made of hundreds of smaller steps. You can't skip them. You can't rush them. You have to appreciate them. Start by changing what you celebrate. Don't wait to celebrate the final goal. Celebrate every decision that moves you toward it. If you worked out today, that's a win. If you controlled your anger in a tough situation, that's a win. If you turned off distractions and focused for an hour, that's a win. Those are the small victories that rewire your brain to enjoy progress. The mind loves progress, but it hates pressure. If you set goals that feel too far away, your brain will resist them. It will see them as impossible. But when you focus on something small and achievable, you get a quick win, and that triggers momentum. The key is to make that feeling your fuel. The greatest performers in every field understand this. They track their growth daily. They find satisfaction in doing one thing better than yesterday. It's not luck, it's mindset. They understand that consistency beats intensity. A little progress done every day outperforms massive effort done occasionally. Think of how most people approach change. They start strong. They go all in for a few days or weeks. Then, when the results don't show up fast enough, they stop. They burn out because their focus was on the outcome, not the process. They forget that every habit, every change, is built through repetition. Small wins repeated over time become powerful habits. You can reprogram your brain to enjoy that repetition. Every time you notice a small improvement, acknowledge it. Say to yourself, "I'm moving forward." That simple statement rewires your focus. It turns progress into satisfaction. You stop feeling like you're behind, and you start feeling like you're building something. This mindset creates emotional stability. When you focus on small wins, you no longer depend on big results to feel good. You feel grounded because you see movement. You know you're not stuck. You're growing, even if it's slowly. And that sense of growth gives you confidence to keep going. Many people never finish what they start because they measure success the wrong way. They think success is a finish line. It's not. Success is a direction. As long as you're moving forward, you're winning. Even 1% better every day is progress. The beauty of small wins is that they're under your control. You can't control the timing of big opportunities, but you can control your daily actions. You can't control how others respond, but you can control your own effort. Every time you make the right choice in a small moment, you take back control of your life. The human brain responds to feedback. That's why tracking progress works so well. Write down what you do each day. It doesn't have to be perfect, just keep a record. When you see your consistency on paper, you feel encouraged. You realize that the small things you do every day are creating real change. Some days you'll feel like your efforts don't matter. That's when you need to remind yourself that every great result was once invisible. You plant the seed long before you see the fruit. You work quietly before anyone notices. You grow inside before you grow outside. That's how it always works. There's something deeply fulfilling about this approach. When you start loving small wins, life feels lighter. You stop chasing constant validation. You stop comparing your timeline to others. You stop feeling behind. You realize that you are exactly where you need to be as long as you're improving a little every day. People often say they lack discipline, but what they actually lack is emotional reward. When you make small progress and celebrate it, discipline becomes easier. You no longer fight against your own resistance. Your brain begins to crave that sense of progress. That's when daily effort becomes natural. You can build this mindset intentionally. Start every day with one clear, simple goal, something you know you can accomplish. Then do it. End your day by writing down 3 small wins. Don't skip this step. It trains your brain to focus on what's working instead of what's missing. Over time, you'll feel more motivated, more confident, and more in control. There's a psychological shift that happens when you live this way. You stop waiting for happiness to come from results. You start feeling fulfilled by effort. You realize that progress itself feels good. And when progress feels good, you don't need anyone to push you, you push yourself. Think about how much peace that brings. You no longer wake up frustrated because things aren't perfect. You wake up grateful because you're growing. You start enjoying the process, and that changes everything. Many people live with the weight of frustration because they set impossible expectations. They look at the distance between where they are and where they want to be, and they feel overwhelmed. But if you break that distance into small pieces and focus on just one piece at a time, the weight disappears. That's the power of small wins. They turn the impossible into possible. If you want to change your life, start small. Start with one new habit, one daily promise. Keep it for a week. Then add another. You'll be surprised how quickly your identity starts to shift. You'll start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. That's how confidence is built, not by thinking you can, but by proving it to yourself. Every small win tells your mind, I am capable. And once you believe that, everything becomes easier. That's why success feels effortless for some people. It's not that they have more talent, it's that they've built belief through consistent, small victories. Small wins also protect your motivation during hard times. When life gets tough, big goals feel distant, almost impossible. But when you focus on one small win, one task, one positive choice, you regain control. You remind yourself that progress is still possible. That's how you stay strong when things don't go as planned. You'll notice something interesting when you start loving small wins. Your standards rise. You start wanting to do better, not because you have to, but because you enjoy the feeling of improvement. You start seeking growth in everything, your work, your health, your relationships. That's the sign of a person who has learned to grow from the inside out. Over time, those small wins compound. Just like money grows through interest, progress grows through consistency. The small things you do every day multiply, creating results that seem huge later. What felt insignificant at first becomes the foundation for your biggest achievements. The key is to stay patient. Real growth takes time. The person you want to become will be built through daily choices. Don't rush the process. Stay present, stay consistent, and trust that every effort counts. This mindset will make you more peaceful, more confident, and more productive than ever before. Because when you train your mind to love small wins, you never feel stuck again. You always have something to celebrate, something to be proud of, something to build on. That's how great lives are created, not through sudden breakthroughs, but through daily victories. The small choices you make today are shaping who you'll be tomorrow. Honor them. Respect them. Repeat them. When you start finding joy in the small wins, you begin to experience real success every single day. And that, more than anything else, is the foundation of a strong, fulfilling, and unstoppable life. Chapter 3. Let discomfort teach you real strength inside. Most people try to run away from discomfort. They treat it like an enemy, something to avoid at all costs. But discomfort is not here to break you. It's here to show you how strong you can become. Every time you feel uneasy, uncertain, or out of control, something inside you is being tested and shaped. That's how real strength is built. You can't discover what you're made of while sitting in comfort. You only find it when life pushes you beyond what's familiar. The truth is, human beings are built to grow through challenge. Growth never feels good while it's happening, but it always feels right when it's done. Think about the moments that changed you the most. They weren't easy. They were the moments that hurt, the ones that scared you, the ones that demanded more than you thought you had. But when you made it through, you were not the same. You were sharper, calmer, more aware, more resilient. That's what discomfort gives you, if you're willing to stay with it. The reason most people never reach their full strength is that they leave the gym too early. The mental gym, the emotional gym, the spiritual gym. The moment things start to burn, they stop. But the burn is where the transformation begins. That's the point when your limits start to expand. If you stop there, you stay exactly where you are. But if you push through, you grow stronger in ways you can't even see yet. Every time you step into something uncomfortable, your mind looks for safety. It whispers that you should quit, that maybe this isn't the right time, that you've done enough. That's just your brain trying to protect you from the unknown. It's not trying to hurt you, it's just doing its job. But if you always listen, you'll live small. You'll spend your life avoiding the very things that could make you powerful. Strength isn't found in comfort, it's found in endurance. It's the ability to keep going when you're tired, when you're unsure, when nothing is guaranteed. And that's something you can train. You can build it like a muscle. Every time you stay calm during chaos, every time you choose effort over ease, every time you show up when it's hard, you're building inner strength. The people who inspire us, the ones we look up to, didn't become who they are by avoiding discomfort. They became that way because they faced it, learned from it, and used it to grow. They didn't wait for perfect conditions. They acted, even when it was painful. That's how you build mental toughness, by showing up fully, even when it doesn't feel good. Discomfort teaches patience. It forces you to slow down and listen to yourself. When everything feels uncertain, you start to see what truly matters. You realize that comfort often hides your weaknesses, while discomfort exposes them. And when something is exposed, you can improve it. That's why discomfort is one of life's greatest teachers. It brings truth to the surface. It's easy to feel strong when everything's going well, but real strength shows up when nothing is easy. When you wake up tired but still follow through. When you feel afraid but still speak your truth. When you fail but refuse to stay down. Those moments reveal the kind of power that can't be taken from you. You see, discomfort is not punishment, it's preparation. It's preparing you for the next level of your life. Every challenge you face is building emotional endurance. Life will test you, not to destroy you, but to see how much faith you have in yourself. The stronger your mindset, the less the outside world can control you. Most people chase comfort because it feels safe. But safety doesn't lead to growth. The people who truly evolve are the ones who trade short-term ease for long-term strength. They understand that every difficult situation is a chance to practice resilience. They don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" They ask, "What is this teaching me?" That question changes everything. When you see discomfort as a teacher, your attitude changes. You stop fighting it and start learning from it. You stop asking for life to be easier and start asking to be stronger. That mindset separates those who progress from those who stay stuck. Strength grows quietly. You won't always see it while it's forming. You might go through days where you feel lost, confused, or overwhelmed. But when you look back later, you'll realize that those were the days that built your character. You were being stretched into a version of yourself that can handle more, endure more, and give more. Discomfort also sharpens awareness. When you're too comfortable, you stop noticing your patterns. But when you're challenged, you pay attention. You see your fears clearly. You notice your habits, your reactions, your thoughts. That awareness gives you control. You can't change what you don't see, and discomfort helps you see it all. There's something deeply human about the need for struggle. Without it, we lose appreciation. We lose gratitude. We stop feeling alive. Struggle reminds us that we're capable of more than we think.
It gives meaning to our achievements. The person who never struggles never truly values success. But the one who earns it through effort understands its worth. When you start embracing discomfort, you begin to understand peace in a new way. Peace isn't the absence of problems. It's the strength to face them without losing your balance. It's knowing that you can survive hard days without breaking. That's real peace, and you can only find it when you stop running from pain and start learning from it. You can practice this every day. When something feels uncomfortable, pause. Don't run. Don't distract yourself. Breathe through it. Ask, what is this moment trying to show me? It could be showing you patience, humility, courage, or persistence. Every difficult moment carries a lesson, but only if you stay long enough to hear it. Discomfort doesn't mean something's wrong. It means something is changing. Growth is always uncomfortable at first. New habits feel awkward. New disciplines feel unnatural. But with time, they become your new normal. That's the transformation process. Slow, demanding, and deeply rewarding. We often think we'll be ready once we feel confident. But confidence doesn't come before the challenge. It comes after you face it. Every time you move through discomfort, your confidence grows naturally. You start trusting yourself more. You stop doubting your ability to handle life. That trust is priceless. It's the foundation of self-respect. The most powerful people you know are not the ones who avoid pain. They're the ones who've learned how to handle it. They don't fall apart under stress. They stay composed because they've trained for it. Life didn't spare them challenges. It strengthened them through challenges. You can do the same. The next time you face something hard, remind yourself that strength is being built. Remind yourself that you're growing right now, even if you can't see it yet. Don't rush through the pain. Don't look for an escape. Sit with it. You'll start noticing a quiet confidence rising inside you. The kind that doesn't depend on anyone or anything. You'll begin to realize that every setback, every disappointment, every failure has shaped you in some way. You'll see that life has been training you all along, teaching you patience, focus, and endurance. And when new challenges come, you'll face them differently. Instead of fear, you'll feel readiness. When you reach that stage, discomfort loses its power to scare you. It becomes a signal that growth is happening. You start seeing it as a partner in your development, not a punishment. You stop wishing life were easier and start being grateful for the strength you've earned. This doesn't mean you stop feeling pain. It means you stop being controlled by it. You still feel it, but you don't let it define you. You use it, you learn from it, you rise through it. That's what real strength looks like. Not perfection, but persistence. You might not see the reward immediately, but it's coming. The discipline you're building, the patience you're learning, the emotional control you're developing. These are the tools that will carry you through anything. While others break under pressure, you'll bend and recover. While others complain, you'll adapt and grow. You'll start to understand that discomfort was never the enemy. It was always the mirror reflecting your potential. Every uncomfortable situation you've ever faced has brought you one step closer to the person you were meant to become. You just had to stop running long enough to realize. So when life gets uncomfortable, don't ask for relief, ask for strength. Because strength will take you places comfort never will. It will allow you to stand tall when things fall apart. It will give you calm when chaos surrounds you. And it will remind you that you have what it takes to keep moving forward, no matter what. Discomfort is not your punishment, it's your preparation. It's how life tests your readiness for the next level. Every challenge you face today is making you more capable for tomorrow. Once you understand that, you'll stop fearing discomfort. You'll start welcoming it. Because you'll know that each time it visits, it brings growth with it. And that's when you realize something powerful. Strength isn't something you find, it's something you build, one uncomfortable moment at a time.
Chapter 4. Stop escaping problems and start facing truth. There's a point in every person's life when running from problems becomes more painful than facing them. You can only pretend things are fine for so long before the weight of avoidance starts to break you down from the inside. The truth doesn't disappear just because you ignore it. It waits, and the longer you wait to face it, the heavier it becomes. Real freedom begins when you stop escaping and start dealing with what's real. Most people don't avoid problems because they're weak. They avoid them because they're afraid of what the truth might reveal. It's not the problem itself that terrifies us. It's the confrontation with who we've been while avoiding it. Facing truth means admitting where we've fallen short, where we've lied to ourselves, where we've chosen comfort over courage. But that honesty, however uncomfortable, is where growth begins. You can't build a strong life on top of lies or denial. You can't heal by pretending the wound isn't there. The first step to real progress is seeing things exactly as they are. No filters, no excuses, no distractions. Because when you see clearly, you can act clearly. The mind finds peace not through avoidance, but through alignment with truth. Avoidance is a quiet poison. It starts with little things, ignoring small responsibilities, pushing away difficult conversations, staying busy instead of reflecting. It feels harmless at first, but slowly it grows. The pile of things you don't want to face becomes a barrier between you and your own potential. One day, you realize that the life you're living is built on avoidance, not awareness. That's when frustration starts to feel constant and emptiness creeps in. The reason truth feels painful at first is because it threatens the stories we've built to protect ourselves. We tell ourselves we're fine, that it's not that bad, that we'll deal with it later. But every time we avoid the truth, we strengthen fear. Facing the truth weakens fear. And the moment you stop running, you realize that most of what you were afraid of was imagined. You'll never find peace in escape. Distraction only numbs the symptoms. It never cures the cause. People spend years trying to avoid pain through work, entertainment, or constant noise, but silence always brings it back. The truth waits patiently for you to acknowledge it. Once you do, it stops chasing you. The power of facing truth is that it clears confusion. Life gets complicated when you live between lies and reality. But the truth, no matter how uncomfortable, is always simple. It doesn't need to be explained or defended. It just is. When you accept that, you begin to see how much energy you've wasted trying to control perceptions instead of living authentically. Facing your problems doesn't mean you have to fix everything overnight. It means you stop lying to yourself about what needs to change. You stop pretending that time will solve it without your effort. Problems don't shrink with time, they grow root. The longer you ignore them, the deeper they go. But the moment you confront them, you regain power. You shift from victim to participant. You stop being controlled by circumstances and start shaping them. Truth is uncomfortable because it demands accountability. It asks you to own your part in your pain. It asks you to look at your habits, your decisions, your patterns. That's not easy, but it's necessary, because when you accept responsibility, you also accept power. You realize that if you created some of your problems, you can create their solutions too. There's a quiet strength that comes from being honest with yourself. It's not loud or dramatic, it's steady. It gives you confidence that no matter what happens, you can handle it, because you're living in alignment with reality. You don't need to keep up appearances anymore. You stop performing and start living. Think about the relief that comes with honesty. The moment you admit I'm struggling or I need to change, you start healing. You stop wasting energy pretending to be okay. That energy can finally be used for action, for rebuilding, for growth. Honesty is not weakness. It's the start of transformation. Avoiding problems doesn't make them disappear.
It just postpones the moment you'll have to face them with more consequences attached. When you finally face the truth, you might feel pain, but it's a clean kind of pain, the kind that heals. Avoidance gives you dirty pain, the kind that lingers, grows and spreads into every part of your life. You might not realize how much escaping costs you. It costs your peace of mind, your relationships, your focus, your self-respect. Because deep down, you know you're not living with integrity. You know you're running, and that awareness eats away at confidence. You can't respect yourself if you keep hiding from what's real. Facing truth is not about judging yourself. It's about freeing yourself. It's saying, this is where I am, and this is what needs to change. It's choosing growth over illusion. It's choosing responsibility over blame. Once you start doing that, life begins to feel lighter. Problems stop feeling like walls and start feeling like challenges you can work through. There's something deeply empowering about looking at your problems directly. You start to see patterns. You realize that most of them come from the same place: fear, avoidance, or lack of clarity. And once you see that, you can start solving them differently. You stop repeating mistakes because you finally understand why they keep showing up. Honesty clears your path. When you face truth, decisions become easier. You no longer have to guess what's right, because clarity replaces confusion. You stop chasing external validation, because you're no longer pretending. You start trusting your instincts again. You start feeling alive again. Facing truth doesn't mean exposing yourself to judgment. It means accepting yourself as a work in progress. Everyone has flaws. Everyone has moments of denial. The difference is whether you stay there or move beyond it. People who face truth grow. People who avoid it stay stuck. The strongest people are not the ones who never make mistakes. They're the ones who own them. They're the ones who say, I was wrong, but I'm learning. That kind of humility builds power, because it connects you with reality. You stop living through illusion and start living through awareness. You can begin today. Think about one area of your life you've been avoiding. Maybe it's a relationship you know isn't healthy, a habit that's holding you back, a goal you've been postponing. Don't judge yourself for it. Just face it. Say, this is the truth. The moment you do that, you take your first step toward change. Truth brings peace, because it removes uncertainty. The unknown is what scares us the most. Once you name it, it loses its control over you. You can finally plan, act, and move forward. You can't fix what you refuse to look at, but once you look, you'll often find it's not as bad as you fear. Facing the truth about yourself also deepens compassion. When you see your own flaws clearly, you stop judging others so harshly. You realize that everyone is fighting their own battles, often in silence. That awareness makes you kinder, more understanding, and more human. The mind resists truth at first, because truth destroys the illusions we've used to stay comfortable. But once you've lived with truth for a while, you'll never want to go back. Lies feel heavy, pretending feels exhausting, authenticity feels light. It gives you energy because it aligns your inner world with your outer world. You don't have to fear the truth. It's not here to hurt you. It's here to guide you. Every truth you face brings you closer to freedom. Every truth you avoid keeps you trapped. That's the choice life gives you every day. Comfort in lies or growth in truth. You can't rewrite your story if you won't face the page you're on. Every breakthrough in life begins with an honest conversation, with yourself, with someone you care about, or with life itself. That moment of truth breaks the cycle of avoidance and opens the door to real change. Don't confuse temporary relief with real healing. Avoidance might make you feel better for a moment, but it keeps the wound open. Facing the truth might sting at first, but it allows healing to begin. Healing requires honesty. It requires presence. It requires courage. The beautiful thing about truth is that it never punishes. It purifies. It removes confusion and replaces it with awareness. It helps you see that every problem carries a message, and that message is meant to guide you forward. When you start listening, Life starts working for you instead of against you. There's nothing more freeing than living without lies. You wake up lighter because you're not carrying stories that aren't real. You stop performing for others and start showing up as yourself. You stop running and start building. When you stop escaping and start facing truth, you find strength you didn't know you had. You realize that problems are not roadblocks. They're invitations to evolve. They're reminders that you're alive, that you're still capable of growth, that you still have time to change. The truth will test you, but it will also transform you. It will break illusions, but it will build character. It will humble you, but it will also set you free. And freedom is the greatest reward you can ever earn. So don't run anymore. Don't hide behind distractions or excuses. Face your life as it is, completely and courageously, because the moment you face the truth, you stop being controlled by it. You take ownership of your story, and from there, you can rewrite it however you choose. That's how transformation happens. It starts with honesty, it grows with courage, and it ends with peace. The truth isn't your enemy, it's your path home to yourself.
Chapter 5. Choose effort when your mood says no. There will always be days when you don't feel like doing what you know you should. Days when your energy is low, your focus is scattered, and your mind whispers, "Not today." Those are the days that define your character. Anyone can work when they feel good, when everything flows, when motivation is high. But the people who grow, the people who build lives they're proud of, are the ones who choose effort even when their mood says no. The truth is, your feelings are not always honest. They change with weather, sleep, stress, and circumstance. If you let your emotions decide your actions, your life will always be inconsistent. You'll move when you feel like it, and stop when you don't. That pattern creates a life of regret, not results. Discipline means doing what's needed, not what's comfortable, and that's a skill anyone can build, no matter how they feel today. Most people wait for the right mindset to act. They tell themselves, "I'll start when I feel ready." But readiness doesn't come before movement, it comes after. Once you take the first small step, your energy changes. You start to feel momentum. Effort generates emotion. Emotion doesn't generate effort. When you act despite resistance, your brain learns that you are stronger than your mood. That's how you build power from the inside. You have to understand how your mind works. It's designed to keep you safe, not successful. When you feel resistance, your brain is trying to protect you from discomfort. It tells you to stay where it's safe, where it's predictable. But that same safety also keeps you stuck. If you listen to every signal of resistance, you'll spend your life repeating old patterns instead of creating new ones. Effort is a choice, not a feeling. The moment you separate those two, you take control of your life. You stop asking, "Do I feel like it?" and start saying, "I'll do it anyway." That one decision transforms ordinary days into productive ones. Because progress isn't built on perfect days, it's built on ordinary days handled with consistency. Think about the people you admire, the athletes, the leaders, the creators. They're not always inspired. They don't wake up every morning bursting with motivation. What separates them is that they've trained themselves to act regardless of how they feel. They understand that discipline creates results, and results create motivation. Every time you choose effort over emotion, you strengthen self-respect. You prove to yourself that your word matters. You start trusting yourself more, because you know that even when you don't feel like it, you'll still show up. That trust builds confidence, and confidence builds momentum. Before you know it, effort becomes part of who you are, not something you have to force, but something you expect from yourself. The hardest moment of every task is the beginning. Your mind exaggerates how hard it will be. But once you start, resistance fades. Starting is the hardest part, not finishing.
That's why the smallest action matters so much. Sitting down to write one line, lifting one weight, reading one page. It's not about the action itself, it's about the message you send yourself. I move forward no matter how I feel. Some people believe that effort should always feel good. It shouldn't. Growth is often boring, repetitive, and uncomfortable. That's what makes it valuable. If you only act when it feels exciting, you'll never build mastery. Effort is about showing up for the process, not the emotion. You have to learn to find satisfaction in effort itself, not just in results. It's easy to confuse tiredness with resistance. Sometimes your body needs rest, but more often, your mind just needs clarity. You have to learn to ask yourself, am I really tired, or am I avoiding discomfort? If you're avoiding, take action. If you're exhausted, recover intentionally, then get back to work. That's how balance is created, not by laziness disguised as self-care, but by awareness and responsibility. Choosing effort when your mood says no also teaches emotional stability. You stop being ruled by temporary states. You stop waiting for perfect motivation to appear. You realize that moods come and go, but your purpose stays. That purpose becomes your anchor. It gives you strength when everything else feels uncertain. When you act despite low motivation, something subtle happens. You start feeling better afterward. The act of doing creates a sense of pride and momentum. You might not enjoy every moment of it, but you'll always enjoy the outcome of it. You'll never regret choosing discipline, but you'll always regret giving in to laziness. People often underestimate the power of small, consistent effort. You don't need massive energy to change your life. You just need persistence. 10 minutes of focused work on a bad day is still a victory. It proves to your mind that you don't quit when things feel off. Over time, those small wins add up to big results. Your emotions will try to convince you that effort isn't worth it. They'll tell you that today doesn't matter, that missing one day won't make a difference. But that's how most people lose their progress, one skipped effort at a time. Every time you give in, you teach your mind that excuses are stronger than your goals. But every time you show up, you teach it that discipline wins. You can make effort easier by creating systems. Don't rely on willpower alone. Design your environment for action. Keep your tools visible, your distractions limited, and your goals clear. When effort becomes part of your routine, you reduce the emotional friction. The less you have to decide, the more you'll do. Another way to strengthen effort is to focus on identity, not feelings. Instead of saying I don't feel like exercising, say I'm someone who keeps promises. When your actions reflect who you want to be, not how you feel in the moment, consistency becomes natural. You're no longer chasing moods, you're living by standards. Choosing effort over emotion is a form of self-mastery. It's you proving that you control your behavior, not the other way around. Most people live reactively. They act according to moods, circumstances, or outside pressure. But the person who acts intentionally, regardless of emotion, lives with freedom. Freedom doesn't mean doing whatever you feel. It means not being owned by what you feel. When you develop this mindset, you stop seeing effort as punishment. You start seeing it as privilege, the chance to shape your life through choice. You realize that you don't have to feel good to do good. You just have to do what's right, and the feeling often follows later. Your mood will always fluctuate. There will be mornings when your energy is low, when everything feels heavy. Those are the days to remind yourself why you started. Purpose has more power than mood. When you connect to your purpose, effort becomes light. You understand that you're not working for today's emotion, you're working for tomorrow's strength. There's something deeply satisfying about doing what you said you would do, even when you didn't want to. It creates a quiet pride that doesn't need praise. You know you've honored your commitment. That self-respect is worth more than any temporary comfort. When you let your emotions decide for you, you start to live reactively. You give up control. But when you decide based on commitment, you build a foundation of stability. You stop depending on external motivation and start depending on inner discipline. That shift changes everything, from how you work to how you live. Effort is also contagious. When people around you see your consistency, it inspires them. They start to believe that they can do it too. You become an example of what's possible when action isn't based on emotion. That's how you lead without saying a word. Every time you act despite resistance, you strengthen your resilience. You start seeing challenges differently. Instead of thinking, this is too hard, you start thinking, I've done hard things before. That confidence grows over time. It's not built in comfort, it's built through consistent effort in discomfort. You'll notice that the days you push through become the most meaningful. They become proof that you can rise above temporary feelings. Those are the days that make you stronger. The days that build your character quietly, but permanently. The people who create extraordinary results in life aren't necessarily more talented. They're just more consistent. They've learned that success isn't about doing it when you feel great. It's about doing it even when you don't. They've learned that the mind follows motion. Once you start moving, clarity and energy follow. You can train yourself to act faster than your emotion. The longer you think about doing something, the more resistance builds. The trick is to shorten the gap between thought and action. Count down from 5 and just start. Once you begin, the mood that was holding you back starts to lose its grip. It's important to remember that discipline doesn't mean ignoring your emotions. It means not letting them control you. You can feel tired and still work. You can feel anxious and still move forward. You can feel uninspired and still take one small step. That's maturity, acting from purpose, not impulse. Life rewards effort, not excuses. Every day you choose effort, you deposit trust into your future. You build habits that outlast temporary moods. You create a life where progress doesn't depend on perfect circumstance. You become the kind of person who can keep going no matter what. This mindset doesn't make life easier, but it makes you stronger. It gives you control over the one thing that truly matters. Your response. You stop being at the mercy of moods, and you start leading yourself. That's how real transformation begins. There will always be days when you don't feel ready. Those are the days that matter most because the gap between who you are and who you want to be is filled with choices like this. Moments when your mood says no but your purpose says yes. When you choose effort, you build evidence that you can rely on yourself. That's the foundation of self-confidence. The belief that no matter what the day brings, you'll show up. And that belief will carry you through every challenge life throws at you. So when your mood says no, choose effort anyway. You don't need to feel inspired to make progress. You just need to move. Because movement creates progress, and progress creates the life you've been working toward. That's how you build strength, stability, and success. From the inside out, one decision at a time.
Chapter 6. Rebuild focus. When your mind wants ease, focus is one of the rarest strengths in the modern world. Everywhere you turn, something is asking for your attention. Notifications, messages, distractions, endless scrolling, and constant noise. The mind has become restless because it's overstimulated. It no longer knows how to sit still, how to stay present, how to concentrate deeply on one thing. Yet, true progress, the kind that changes your life, can only be made through focus. You can't build depth if you're always chasing ease. You can't master anything if you're always running from effort. Rebuilding focus starts with one realization. Ease is comfortable, but focus is meaningful. The human brain seeks the path of least resistance.
It's designed to conserve energy, to avoid mental strain. That's why it's so easy to pick up your phone instead of facing the task in front of you. It's why you start something important and suddenly remember to check messages or grab a snack. The brain looks for little escapes whenever something feels difficult, but every time you give in to ease, your ability to focus weakens. The mind learns to crave distraction instead of direction. The only way to rebuild focus is to train it just like a muscle that's been neglected. Focus doesn't come naturally anymore because we've allowed comfort to take control. The habit of seeking ease has made people impatient. If something doesn't feel exciting within seconds, we switch. But the truth is, focus isn't born in excitement, it's born in commitment. The first few minutes of focus are always uncomfortable. That's the brain adjusting to silence, to stillness, to concentration. Most people quit before that adjustment happens. The ones who stay, the ones who breathe through the initial discomfort, find their flow. Rebuilding focus means retraining the mind to stay where you are. It means resisting the constant pull to escape into something easier. You can't rebuild focus by waiting for the perfect environment. You rebuild it by creating discipline in any environment. When the mind wanders, you bring it back. When it craves ease, you give it structure. When it seeks comfort, you remind it of purpose. That's how control returns. The first step to rebuilding focus is awareness. You have to notice how often you drift. Pay attention to how quickly you lose presence. Catch yourself when your mind escapes into distraction. Don't judge yourself for it, just see it clearly. Awareness is power. Once you see how scattered your attention is, you can begin to guide it. The moment you catch yourself drifting and return to what matters, you're building strength. Each time you bring your focus back, you sharpen your control. Your attention is your most valuable resource. Every second you give to distraction is a second stolen from your goals. If you treat focus casually, your results will always feel incomplete. But when you treat focus like a sacred act, something that deserves respect, you begin to see life differently. You stop multitasking. You stop splitting your energy across too many things. You learn to be where you are fully, to give your best effort without escape. You can rebuild focus by simplifying your world. The mind performs best when it's not overloaded. Too many choices, too much noise, too many open tasks. They all drain your ability to concentrate. Clarity creates power. Start by identifying what truly matters each day. Choose one priority and give it your full attention. Protect that time as if it were gold, because it is. Most people never rebuild focus because they confuse busyness with productivity. They think doing more means achieving more. But real productivity isn't about how many things you start, it's about how many things you finish. Completion requires focus. If your energy is divided among 10 things, you'll rarely complete one. But if you give your full effort to one thing at a time, you'll start finishing what you begin. That builds confidence and momentum. Your mind will always resist deep focus because deep work feels heavy. It demands effort, patience, and mental stillness. The brain, conditioned by constant stimulation, starts craving instant pleasure. It wants the easy dopamine that comes from checking something new. But the satisfaction that comes from deep focus is different. It's quieter, more lasting. It's the kind of satisfaction that brings pride, not just pleasure. Once you experience that, you'll start craving depth instead of ease. You can train your focus through simple habits. One powerful way is to set clear boundaries for distraction. Silence notifications. Create specific blocks of time for focused work. When you sit down, commit fully. Tell yourself, for the next 30 minutes, I'm here. When the mind drifts, bring it back gently. Don't get frustrated. The act of returning is the training. Every return builds mental endurance. Another important practice is learning to rest properly. Most people mistake rest for escape. They scroll, watch, or distract themselves in ways that drain them further. Real rest means allowing your mind to reset through quiet movement or reflection. When you rest well, focus returns naturally. A scattered mind doesn't need more stimulation, it needs calm. You can't rebuild focus on a noisy foundation. The desire for ease often comes from fatigue. When your energy is low, your mind starts begging for comfort. The best solution isn't to give in, but to take care of your energy intentionally. Eat well, move your body, sleep enough, and set boundaries with technology. A tired mind will always crave shortcuts. A well-nourished mind can handle sustained effort. There's also a deeper reason the mind seeks ease. It fears failure. Focus requires commitment, and commitment means risk. When you fully engage, you expose yourself to the possibility of not succeeding. Distraction becomes a defense mechanism. If you never go all in, you can always say, "I could have done better if I tried." That's a safe excuse. But the truth is, you can't find your potential without risking failure. When you rebuild focus, you're teaching yourself to face that risk with courage. Rebuilding focus is about creating alignment between your thoughts and your action. It's about being present enough to notice what you're doing, why you're doing it, and whether it serves your goals. Every time you slow down and focus, you take back control from autopilot. You start choosing how to spend your time instead of letting impulses decide for you. That awareness is freedom. Your ability to focus determines the quality of your life. Relationships improve when you give people your full attention. Work improves when you give tasks your complete presence. Inner peace grows when your mind learns to stay in one place. Scattered focus leads to scattered life. Rebuilt focus creates stability, clarity, and fulfillment. If you want to strengthen focus, remove the things that constantly fragment it. You can't concentrate when you're surrounded by noise, both external and internal. Simplify your environment. Clean your space. Clear your mind. Learn to say no more often. Every distraction you remove is one more piece of energy you reclaim. You can also rebuild focus by practicing single tasking. Pick one task and stay with it until it's done. Don't jump to another window. Don't check your phone. Don't shift attention. Finish what you start. This simple act teaches your mind endurance. It teaches it that you are in control. Over time, you'll notice that your ability to focus grows naturally. You'll last longer in concentration. You'll feel calmer during work. You'll get more done with less effort. The mind will always want ease because it confuses rest with relief. It thinks distraction is relaxation, but it's not. True relief comes from alignment, from doing what matters without the chaos of divided attention. When you focus deeply, even hard work feels peaceful because you're fully engaged. You stop fighting with yourself. You stop thinking about 100 other things. You become absorbed, and in that absorption, life feels simpler. You have to train your mind to associate focus with reward. Each time you complete something meaningful, pause and acknowledge it. Feel that satisfaction. Let your brain link focus with fulfillment, not frustration. That's how you rewire motivation. You stop craving ease and start craving effectiveness. You stop seeking escape and start seeking engagement. Rebuilding focus isn't a one-time event, it's a lifelong practice. Distraction will always exist, technology will keep evolving, and the world will keep trying to steal your attention. You have to decide that your focus matters more than their noise. You have to protect it like something sacred, because it is. You don't rebuild focus by waiting for motivation. You rebuild it by creating structure. Discipline creates freedom. Set specific times for work, for reflection, for rest. Keep promises to yourself about those times. Over time, that rhythm strengthens your ability to concentrate. Focus becomes your default, not your exception. The most peaceful people you'll ever meet are not those with fewer distractions. They're the ones who've learned to manage them. They've trained their minds to stay steady in the middle of noise. They don't run from difficulty. They breathe through it. They know that ease feels good in the moment, but focus feels right in the long run. There's a quiet pride that comes from living with focus. You know where your energy goes. You feel productive, centered, and clear. You stop being pulled in every direction, and you start feeling grounded in purpose. That's what rebuilding focus gives you. The strength to stay true to what matters when everything else tries to pull you away. The next time your mind wants ease, pause. Don't rush to distract yourself. Take a breath. Ask, what am I avoiding? Usually ease is a disguise for resistance. When you push past it, you'll rediscover your power. You'll remember that you're capable of deep concentration, that you don't need to live in chaos. You can rebuild focus anytime. It starts with one small act of presence. Close the tabs, silence the noise, and do one thing with full attention. That's the foundation. Do it again tomorrow, then again. Over time,